Dragula Ghoulies episode 4 dropped this week, and oh boy, was this a messy, messy episode from start to finish. So we have an awful lot to talk about this week. But first, I want to quickly refer back to my previous episode where I asked if Blackberry's Bride and Groom was inspired by the pre-Civil War Underground Railroad and, like, history of black slavery. And the number of you that came out and said that I was absolutely correct, like, thank you so much. But what surprised me more was people saying, as well as seeing for myself on things like Instagram, the number of Americans that did not actually spot that this is what it was. You know, the fact that me, like, super pale girl from Britain who could sunburn off a candle got the reference. Like, oh, so that made me feel better knowing that I was on the right tracks with this one. So, like I said, we've got a lot to talk about in this episode, and if you hear grunting sounds or snorting sounds in the background, know that my hairy baby is here with me today. She's being a little bit needy, so that's what you will probably hear in the background. So please bear with me for this episode. If you're new here though, I'm Hannah, but I go by Hordes online, and I talk about horror movies on Mondays and Fridays, and I talk about the Boulet brothers' Dragula Titans 2 currently on Saturdays. So if you aren't subscribed, maybe hit the subscribe button if you're feeling extra generous, and come and have a chat in the coffin section 6 feet below the video. They are a lovely bunch, they do not bite, and they are just very excited to talk about Dragula with everybody, which makes me incredibly happy because it is such a positive little space that we are building here. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up. We're talking about the intro, and let's talk about what happened in this episode, because by the end of it, I felt like my brain had been through a washing machine.
Okay, let's go.
I just want to start by saying that Drax's comment at the very beginning being like, oh, I see you've come to give opinions, people who don't do drag on things. Like, I was like, that seems a bit pointed, considering on your actual podcast you say you love hearing people's reviews, so where's this come from?
Are you talking about me?
So we start the episode with Zava walking into the workroom, and immediately my brain clocked her shirt and was like, this is the shirt from the trailer where she's screaming, someone call my mum. So I already knew that there was going to be drama in this episode. I just didn't realise there was going to be this much drama in this episode. Dahlia is sat in her feelings and she's in the background sort of pouting and being mopey. And Jaharia kind of says exactly what everyone's thinking, and that is she doesn't really have anybody to blame but herself in this moment, which is then followed by a comment from Disasterina in Confessionals where she simply says, people may think that people are like bullying or ganging up on Dahlia, but it's not that, it's just girl is getting her karma. I can't think of a better way to describe exactly what is happening. Besides when I described it last week, as Dahlia is currently experiencing the fuck around and find out phenomenon. So, girlie doesn't really have anybody to blame but herself in this moment. Which is when my girl Eva even comes out and says, you know what? I don't like this side of Dahlia, and I am not about to sit here and defend her. I am focusing on me going forward in the competition, and you know what? You kind of only have yourself to blame. So even my girl Eva has told Dahlia, like, girl, you're on your own.
Get some help.
This is when Zava says that she would like to apologise to everybody for how she behaved in the previous week when she was in the bottom two. She was in a mood and a funk, and she just felt like she took it out on everybody. And I can see that that was a sincere moment, because later on she does apologise for something else as well. And Cynthia takes the moment to say, yeah, you may not have been saying all these things personally, but there was a comment that you made to Jay, and that was a personal thing. What was that about? And then it's like an explosion. Like a bomb went off in that room. And the next thing you know, Zava is screaming at JK. And JK is like, I thought we were going to have a conversation, but clearly we can't have a conversation. Zava's screaming, call my mum. She leaves the room. Like, I don't think Cynthia realised that what she did was she set the timer off on a time bomb, but the timer was only like 2 seconds long, so nobody had time to get out of the way, and it was just collateral damage. Like, you see Cynthia and Sigourney like hugging each other like, what the fuck is going on? And like, Zava storms out. Cynthia goes after Zara and has like a moment out in the car park. Like, we aren't even 5 minutes in, and holy hell has everything kicked off already. Trust me when I say this, and I'm speaking from experience, no one is worth getting into this much drama in when it comes to a romantic relationship. It's not. Like, when you're in a relationship, you are completely blind to all kinds of red flags, but when you're out of it, all you see are giant red flags. It does not mean that it hurts any less, but it just means that you're then hyper-focused on all of the red flag things, rather than taking the time for yourself that you need to heal, which I feel like Zava's been stewing on this now for the past year and kind of needs to focus on what they need now rather than what the guy involved in the middle of this needed. And, like, it's just how I feel.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
This is when Abora says that they didn't even get a moment to say, like, goodbye to Jade and mourn her leaving. And it's been completely overshadowed by this just explosion of drama. And that is exactly how I feel about this. But when Zava eventually comes back to the lab, Eva is about to say something, they cut her completely off in the middle of a sentence, and it is announced for this week's challenge that the Nosferatu Beach Party is back. Not one of my favourite past challenges, to be honest, because what is it with this challenge and drama going hand in hand? Because the last time we had this challenge on season 4, we had Astrid absolutely going nuclear, and there are multiple cases in this episode where people go nuclear. Sigourney is even like, is it me? Is it just like, no girl, it's not you, it's this challenge. It is absolutely like, can we not do this challenge ever again? Because I guarantee that if we do it a third time down the line, it's still gonna cause like nuclear drama.
Yeah, big bada boom.
Bada boom.
So grab your swimsuits because it's time to hit the beach. And it is time for another fright feat, which means in this case, the eating challenge that also accompanied the Nosferatu Beach Party in season 4 is also back. We are chugging blood and eating entire bulbs of garlic. Fun. There is a spell on the line for this one, and this is a shield spell, which means that whoever wins has the ability to save themselves from being put up for extermination, or could possibly use it to save somebody else from having to face extermination. And JK also clocks what I clocked, and that was, they said extermination, not please face the gallows, which immediately told me that there was going to be another challenge like the bungee jumping episode, like from season 1, but I'd rather bungee jump than what they had to do in this episode. Blackberry then asks Dahlia if there's anybody that she really doesn't want to get teamed up with, and Dahlia is just like, I think everybody hates me equal at this point, so glad she's clocked that. But I want to say this is a team challenge, and there are 3 teams of 3 and a team of 2, so you kind of, you know, for the sake of everybody involved, whoever gets put on a team with Dahlia, just kind of suck it up for 1 week and then you can go back to being a sub. Like, just make sure that you're not in the bottom is my, like, work together the best that you can. Use what you've got and just kind of, you know, go with it for now. Prove that you can be a team player because it's going to make you look better for production, and the Boulets are going to at least see that, you know, you kind of tried to get on with everybody. So then Vanda walks in wearing this stunning black cat inspired outfit, which is definitely more cat than woman. But then Israel walks in with those like pitchers full of blood. Absolutely not. Like, I am vegan. Like, I couldn't do what Zava does in this. And same with Sigourney, because both of them are also vegan. I couldn't come into a competition and stop being vegan, because if you don't know, if you've not eaten meat in a while, your stomach does not know what to do with it. And apparently you get the most horrendous stomach pains. So, rather them than me. But they have to eat an entire bulb of garlic. And if you don't know, a bulb of garlic is actually spicy. And Disasterina kind of like describes it best when she's like, it is spicy like trying to eat jalapenos. And let's get sciencey for a minute. When you crush garlic, and it gets destroyed, it releases a sort of clear oil called allicin, I think it's called. That is the spicy thing. And the more you crush garlic, the more oil is released, and the hotter and hotter this sensation will get. It really is like eating chili peppers. So it may seem fairly straightforward on the surface, but it's not a pleasant experience in any kind of way. Plus, a bulb of garlic has got like sharp, spiky bits in it, so not only is your mouth on fire, it is also being stabbed. And the only thing that you've got to cool it down with is a glass of blood. No thank you. Absolutely not. Science. So that's your science lesson with Professor Hordes over today. So at the end of all of this, and it is extremely close, the winner from holding up their glass first was JK, which is when we find out we nearly killed the first competitor in this episode when Zava got a clove of garlic stuck in her throat and somebody had to perform the Heimlich maneuver. Like, girl was determined to win and was like, even if it literally kills me, I'm going to win. So the fact that this is not the only person that nearly potentially could have died in this episode is wild. There's drama and multiple cases of nearly fatalities.
She's dead.
JK, though, with the power of the shield spell, does have the ability to also assign the teams. So JK decides to form a duo with Blackberry, and Blackberry seems really happy about this because JK is a solid performer, and I can't say that, you know, I saw these two doing anything but kind of getting along and getting on with the challenge, you know? Like, I knew that these two were going to meld, like, fairly well together. And then JK picks the first team, and I was like, is there a little bit of shade going on here? Because the team is Dahlia, Sigourney, and Deborah. Knowing that I want to say there was potentially a bit of shade here, but out of everybody else that Dahlia has got, like, drama with, I think the person who is the most likely to be like, oh, fuck it and put it aside is probably Sigourney and Deborah. So was it shady? Kind of not, because the rest of the teams are kind of evenly split. The second duo, though, is Jaharia, Disasterina, and Zava. And the third duo is Cynthia, Eva, and Priscilla. So I don't see much drama going on here. And we then see the duo, Trio 2 and Trio 3, all getting on and having like a good time rehearsing, them like sharing ideas, they're getting on with each other. They're clearly enjoying this week's challenge. And all of this was happening and they're discussing ideas and sharing concepts. And I was like, where's the first duo in all of it? Like, where the first trio in all this? Where's Dahlia and Deborah and Sigourney in all of this?
Let's roll the mystery.
Which is when we see our first trio sat in the sewing room and there are crickets. This was painful until Deborah spoke up and made the argument, and it's so true, that their chemistry together was absolutely like acidic. It was toxic, and maybe they should actually use this and play into their performance. And Deborah and Sigourney are playing off of each other, and then like they're building on the concept, being like, and then little things start to get on each other's nerves, and then we get nearer and nearer and nearer to it. And Sigourney then blurts out, pushing them off a cliff. And we all know who she's talking about in that moment. Like, it's nice to know that this group actually managed to come up with some kind of idea that they could like use to their advantage, because this is the group nobody wanted to be in, just because it was the air in that room was just toxic. We are then back onto the drama with JK and Zava again, because trust, this has not been laid to rest yet. And Disasterina asks Zava how she's been doing over the past few days since the explosion, and Zava says that she just wants to like sit down and have a chat about everything. We then see JK and Blackberry sat in a different room, and they are also talking about what the hell happened. And Blackberry, I think, hits the nail on the head when they say they feel like JK being in the top, plus Zava being in the bottom, and everything else that was going on just created fuel for a fire. It was the perfect storm. Everything just sort of lined itself up, and then bang, we got this huge explosive reaction from Zava. There is a bit more though. when a member of production chimes up and says, there is a different story that Zava has been telling, and we just want to make sure that these stories are the same. And immediately I was like, we're back on the subject of the guy again, aren't we? And I have to agree with JK in the situation of if there's always three sides to a story, and there's your side, my side, and the truth. And if the third person in this scenario isn't there to put their side of the story forward and defend themselves, it's just one person attacking the other at this point. However, there is clearly something that has been going on outside this competition that Zava has brought with them. And while they don't have direct access to the person that they are mad at, they have decided that they are going to take it out on the next best person, and that is JK. And that is when Zava is like, there's just one question that I want to ask JK. And they are like, I want to know if they were texting my boyfriend while we were still together. And I'm like, it's gonna get messy. It was already messy, but it's now about to get messy.
Are you serious?
There are cheating allegations going on here from both sides, and Zava just wants some clarity. And I'm gonna add my 2 cents into this and say, as somebody who was cheated on multiple times in their last relationship, there are always going to be doubts as to whether everything that you found out or everything that you were told is absolutely everything that happened. And I am convinced that it's not in my case. But Zava just wants clarity. And I think most people would say, like, until you find out, you are never going to be able to move on. That's just like, if you want this situation to be over, all three parties need to come together, sit down and discuss and like just be truthful about everything that happened off camera so that everyone involved can then move on with their lives. Speaking as somebody who is never going to get clarity because my ex decided to block me on everything rather than talking amicably like adults when I'm not the one that caused all the drama.
Oh, that's terrible.
Thank you, my boy.
Cue the Boulets on the runway. And I found this to be quite underwhelming, if I'm going to be like, love your Batwing cosplay. As somebody that used to be a cosplayer, this is no shade to the Batwings, but I just found the backpack straps to be really distracting. And if they had put these wings on a U-frame, if you don't know what a U-frame is, it's when you make a pair of wings and you make a really deep U, and that then goes down the back of a corset, so it looks like that your wings are growing out of your back. There is an incredible seller on Etsy called Crystal Wings UA, I think. She's from the Ukraine, and she makes the most amazing fairy wings. I will put them up. And it's like for people who go to the Ren Fair and that sort of thing, and they're done on a U-frame, and I just wish that that little piece of detail means I wouldn't have had an issue. But this felt like, and I'm not sure if anybody else feels the same, like the Boulets kind of had all of these things lying around and just needed a reason to use them all. And I hate to say that because normally they're so immaculate, but this just kind of felt meh compared to what we're used to. Our guest judges are Akila Cooper and Bonnie Aarons, who both turned up wearing mesh shirts of some variety. And I don't really have any comments to give beyond that, I guess. Like, I'm going to get onto the whole judging in general after this because oh boy, have I got some thoughts about the judging for this episode.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Before I start talking about the runway and the lip sync and the judging, I need to start with a little bit of an apology here because I try and make my videos as professional as possible, and I try and get screenshots that show everybody off in the best light possible. But this challenge was such a mess. Like, it was so chaotic how it was filmed. It was really difficult to try and get screenshots where people, kind of looked their best. And the runway section of this, if you blinked, you would miss it. Now, I'm going to give timestamps for this. The runway started, and I'm going to check my laptop because I wrote them down. The challenge starts at 27 minutes and 32 seconds here in the UK. The episode in total is 61 minutes long. And the challenge ended at 36 minutes and 15 seconds. Less than 5 minutes was dedicated to the runway and the lip sync. And I was counting, because this is wild to me. Every single person that came out for their solo runway bits got 7 seconds. That's it. Like, there was so much that we didn't see that gets brought up in the judging. And I just wish, like, every other episode of this show so far this season has been longer than this one. So why couldn't we have had like 15 seconds for the solo walkout? Because people had reveals and it was just like jump cuts between the reveals. So like, I'm sorry, I've tried my best, but also I don't think my commentary on everybody's outfits is going to be as in-depth this week because we really didn't get a showcase of them. It was a slither of filler between a drama sandwich. So let's absolutely fly through my initial thoughts just on everybody's looks. And I'm going to go in the order that they came out for the solos. And the first person out is Blackberry. I like the red. I think it's a great choice for a vampire. I'm not necessarily getting like 90s from it, but I think that is because 90s UK is very different to like 90s US. If you said to somebody here in the UK, 90s, they'd say like Spice Girls and that kind of look. So maybe that's just a cultural thing. So tell me in the comments, like, is Blackberry's vampire like 90s US, like hip hop, R&B, that sort of thing? Because not something that I have knowledge of being from the UK. But I like it. It's fine. It's fine. I like the hair. I think the hair's the best bit on the outfit.
Why don't you try on that lovely wig?
The next person out was JK, and I'm not getting vampire from this. I am getting devil. If this had a red tail, it's getting Has-Been Hotel. You know, the cartoon, the name is completely gone. That's what I'm getting. And they're devils in the underworld, not vampires. I don't like the outfit. I think the outfit is a mess. This is like season 5 JK has come back and like been like, hi, no, I'd like some more polish. This like old version of JK, go away, new version, please come back for next week. I'm glad that they chose to save themselves from this, because while I think their performance was fine, this look, no. Abora was the next one out, and I love this like Victorian lady Gary Oldman inspired vampire. I don't know why the judges had an issue with this look, to be in all honesty. I think it was really cute, and I think it very much matched the theme of Nosferatu like vampire. When you think Nosferatu, there's a very like certain aesthetic that comes to mind, and I think that this vampire like absolutely fits into that. I love that they do have a bald head that we did not get to see as a reveal, but like I said, I don't have a problem. I think it's very Tim Burton if Tim Burton did vampires.
But the scene is adored, oh, I know you love it.
Next out was Dahlia, and when I saw Dahlia's vampire look, my brain immediately went, oh, this is the outfit that she is wearing in the trailer when she says something about a wellness check. So I knew that there was going to be more drama coming after the runway section. I think their first outfit is adorable, that they then took off to reveal this swimsuit. I don't love the swimsuit. Like, the swim cap is kind of a cute idea. I wish that they'd been wearing actual vampire fangs though, rather than just painting them on. You know, it kind of takes me out at the moment, but first look's fine. Second look, not a fan of, in all honesty. Up next was Sigourney, and a girl came in a lovely, lovely off-the-rack bikini, and I can't be mad at her for this one, because considering she had about 15 seconds of screen time in this whole challenge, including her like solo runway, girl, I'm so glad you did not waste a more elaborate outfit on this. I know that there were like reveals and layers going on, but we saw them in like jump cuts and then in like black and white during the judging. Like, we certainly didn't see some of the stuff that the judges were commenting on, and I will get to that. But I have no problems with Sigourney going for like simple and classy. Girl, save yourself some pennies. Good for you for this week.
Money, 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 money.
Next was Jaharia, and when Jaharia came out, my brain did the same thing as it did with Dahlia's look, and it went, oh, this is the outfit Jaharia is wearing in the trailer when she's seen having a little bit of a cry and a meltdown backstage, and Swan comes to talk to her. It's not good. It's not. And Jaharia is one of my main 3 girlies on this season, but no, girl, no, it wasn't good. No, it wasn't good, and I can't defend it. I really can't. I can't come to the defense. the swimsuit wasn't cute, the headpiece wasn't cute, and I understand, like, if Priscilla can do Elvis, and I'll get to her in a minute, why can't Jaharia do spiders? But, like, it just wasn't cute. And platform sandals for a runway was a choice. Like, this whole look was a choice, and I think Jaharia is way better than this look that she brought out this week. Up next was Disasterina. And all I can say is I forgot Disasterina was here this week. When it got to the main challenge, like, I remember seeing her in the workroom. I remember seeing her after the main runway. I remember seeing Disasterina on that stage, which means one of two things. It means A, she wasn't super standout for the right reasons, and B, she wasn't super standout for the wrong reasons. I like that she's slightly more covered up than everybody else, because when you're a vampire, you are going to be a little bit more covered up, potentially. I don't have a problem with anything that Disasterina is wearing. It's very on brand, and I liked her beach towel. Up next was Priscilla, and in the lab, Priscilla talks about this being an Elvis Presley-inspired outfit. It absolutely is. My grandma was a massive fan of Elvis's movies that came out between, like, 1956, I want to say, to 1965, around that time. Things like Blue Hawaii and Viva Las Vegas, Frankie and Johnny, all of those. So Elvis absolutely fits into, like, the 60s side of Nosferatu Beach Party. Yeah, same as the Boulets about Priscilla's floaty being a cigarette, but this is Priscilla and it's very on brand. So I don't have a problem with Priscilla's look at all. I just wish, like the judges had said later on, maybe a few more Elvis, like, inspired movements and things, but, you know, don't have a problem with Priscilla this week. Like, good girl, like, good for you, girl. This was decent look for this challenge.
Thank you very much.
Up next was Zava, and I'm going to straight out say I hated this. I hated this tiny bikini with all my heart. I hated it. Like, once the cover-up came off, I was like, don't like this, don't like it. Like, you can do nude at the beach, but, you know, if you've got rhinestones in your puss and on your nips, you're not going to have a good time. I think the cover-up was the best part of the outfit. And I want to know what the rest of the outfit was going to look like, because apparently she kind of compromised for a team a little bit. So, like, what was the compromise? I can't forgive that head, like, that forehead, though. Like, that is bordering on Neo's hairline, and that's just, like, her choice. And, you know, that's intentional. And I feel like this was Zava's wig has slipped backwards. Up next was Eva, who reminded me of a mix of, like, Marceline from Adventure Time meets a little bit of Lydia from Beetlejuice, and I'm not mad at it. It gives me, like, cartoony vampire, but, like, Victorian cartoony vampire, and I'm not mad at this. Like, I think it was one of the better looks that walked down the runway, to be honest, and I really like the cute bob hairstyle and the tiny, tiny sunglasses. So, Eva, I have no complaints. Like, this is what I think of when somebody says to me, Nosferatu vampire, like, Eva and Aboras. And the last person to walk out was Cynthia. And holy hell, what was this week? Like, she walked out and I was like, oh, it's her Pleasure Planet Alien 2.0, but it's a grey version of the alien this time. Like, this thing will haunt your nightmares. Like, absolutely. I'm sorry, Cynthia fans, but no. Like, girl got her same, like, ass pads from the same place that Zava got hers from in the Vampire Burlesque from. Like, they is square. Like, they are square. Like, she reverses at you when you hear truck noises. Like, I hated this. I hated this, mainly because nightmare fuel. It's nightmare fuel. When Priscilla said that she looked like Roger from American Dad, she was not kidding. Jackpot! So now that I have very, very quickly gone over everybody's looks for the episode and still given more time to them than they were actually in the episode for, we see the Boulets sat in the judgment booth and they are talking about Dahlia and the drama that's going on behind the scenes and everything that's been talked about and blah, 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 before we then hear some more about their judgment and some thoughts on it with some black and white footage. But we are seeing black and white footage of things that we actually never saw in the solo runway sections or in the lip sync. For example, they talk about Sigourney having the bat pasties and the cape and the reveal and everything. And I was like, am I insane? Am I missing things here? So I kid you not, I went back and watched the runway 5 times. I watched this lip sync 5 times in a row, just to go over all the things that were being said, and none of them were in the final cut of the runway or of the actual lip sync. So they are giving critiques on things that we never fucking saw in the first place.
That's suspicious.
I get that this is probably a time thing and you can only get like, oh, you can have 61 minutes this episode. Why couldn't we have just had like 15 seconds per solo? Double them for the solo bits so we could see everybody's reveals and just include the things that you're pointing out in judging, because we can't say or not whether we agree or disagree with judgment if we aren't seeing what is being talked about. And I am going to get onto this when we talk about who was in the top and who was in the bottom.
Quick.
Everyone is then called to the main stage and JK is asked who they want to save. And we see them contemplating about potentially saving Jaharia from being in the bottom this week. But then they also make the argument of, if I had performed like immaculately and nothing had gone wrong, then yeah, I would save somebody else. But things did not go well, so JK decides that they are going to save themselves. So JK is then sent off to the back, and then Cynthia and Sigourney and Disasterina are also safe. So they disappear off to the cauldron as well, leaving the rest of them stood on the stage. We then see the judges talking about some more things that we never saw happen, and they come up in black and white pop-up moments. And I'm going to say that my favourite looks, just looks this week, was probably Eva, Priscilla, and I'm going to say Abora, because Abora to me gave like Nosferatu Beach Party vampire. And the fact that the judges were like, oh, Abora, you've faded into the background for me this week and I didn't really spot you. I'm sorry? You remembered Sigourney's bat pasties, but forgot that a whole ass vampire was there.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
Like, am I delusional? Like, were the judges on Delulu Lemonade this week? Because this judging was sus as fuck. And there's no other way to describe it. Like, there was so much that was talked about that we didn't see. And I have no idea, is it just me? The winner of this week's challenge was Blackberry, and I have such mixed feelings about this, and I'm going to try and explain, and this is nothing against Blackberry, because Blackberry is one of my top 3 for the season, which means now all of my top 3 have got a win under their belt. But I don't understand how Blackberry won this challenge, because what we saw on, they didn't do anything necessarily. I don't think anybody did great in this challenge. I think the whole challenge was a mess. I'm going to try and explain. To me, this was their words, Nosferatu Beach Party. And Nosferatu to me says old vampire. Like, you've got a song that's clearly 60s inspired. So I think 60s and back. And I want vampires that are like striking rather than beautiful. I want like if the Addams Family were vampires turning up. I want like if the Beetlejuice guys were like vampires. I want the Munsters if they were, you know what I mean? And I feel like because this episode was just drama followed by slither of challenge followed by a whole lot of drama that's still to come. And I feel like because it's just impacted how I viewed this. To me, this challenge was like such a disappointment because it was such a mess. So I don't understand how Blackberry won because we weren't shown really why Blackberry won.
I don't understand, Paige. Don't understand.
Can we just confirm down in the comment section as well if it really is just me, or whether this is just a universal thing about this episode and that we're going to move on from it and never come back and talk about this one ever again. It is then revealed that the bottom 4 will all be facing an extermination challenge, and they will be doing a vampire picnic, which is very reminiscent of the eating challenge from the Vampire Burlesque challenge on season 3. And everybody is then released back to the cauldron to discuss, and trust me, we've got some more drama to talk about. We then see Jaharia sat backstage with Cynthia, and I had to turn subtitles on to actually hear what was being said. And Jaharia was sitting in her feelings because she's been told that she's disappointed this week and she's kind of like fallen from grace. And I get that this is going to be a bit of a gut punch, but it's still a competition and I need my girl to like stand up and stand on business, put her big girl pants on and just like let it light a fire under her ass and go into the extermination challenge being like, I want to stay here. Like, you, like, I need Jaharia to step up now. Like, take these comments and be like, you know what? I'm never gonna let you call me that again. So Swan has a conversation with her and is like, it's not personal, it's just judgment, blah, blah, blah. We get it, blah, 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 let's move on.
Cut, print, check the gate, moving on.
JK is sat in that cauldron waiting to come with all guns loaded. But Zava actually says that she wants to apologise. And JK looks so surprised by this, but I think that Zava is coming from a super genuine place in here when she says she wants to apologise for the way that she acted, and she would like to get to a place where they can either have some kind of like friendship or working relationship or whatever going forward. And I can say as well, because I saw the video on JK's YouTube channel when they did a viewing party for the first episode of the season with Jade, JK and Zava appear to be in a much better place now, and who knows, maybe the guy is still in the scene and maybe the guy isn't, but you know what, as long as they have found a way to now actually, you know, have some kind of like decent, amicable, like working relationship, like good for them. And I'm not about to be like, I don't think this was genuine and blah, 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 because clearly it was, as they do now have some sort of relationship. Zava then switches her attention to Abora and says that Abora has been bringing the same thing as season 2 and Titans 1, and immediately Priscilla is like,
that is not correct.
And Singoni is in the corner like, nope, that is also not correct. So Zava is like, okay, blah, blah. So instantly Priscilla sees this moment as an opportunity to turn for Dahlia again. And if you can use the Mean Girls quote of who has personally been victimized by Regina George, but simply change the name to Dahlia Black, you know you done fucked up. And the fact that Priscilla got to bring that out in that moment, bravo. Dahlia then reveals in a sort of montage moment that is like part with camera and part just audio to Zava that she has been threatened with a wellness check and is using this as a way to like justify the way that she has been behaving. And this sets into motion a whole new set of drama with the Boulets and production actually getting involved. And I'm going to read my notes for the next bit because I actually wrote down the quotes for this.
Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots.
I'm going to flat out say, before I tell you whether Dahlia was lying or not, that if somebody is on a competition and production says, I think we need to have a wellness check, it is for your best interest. It means that your behaviour is out of control and we need to check that you are in the best place mentally so that you can continue on with the competition. It is done for you and for your benefit and not usually used as like a weapon or a threat to beat you down with. So just going on record to say that. And let's go for some quotes. But I'm gonna, and removed all the filler and fluff and the sort of that sort of thing. So Dragula starts by saying, I just want to clear this up, like that you are all here, referring to the production crew. The thing about the mental health check you told Zava, that did not happen. Dahlia then says someone on the phone literally said, and Drac says, who's someone? The whole crew is here. Swan quickly follows up by saying, just use names. And Dahlia names someone called Keeley, who is like, that did not happen. That was a response to what you said repeatedly, which was, I'm not mentally well. So the long and the short of this entire thing is, like, Dahlia said, I'm not mentally well. And this lady was like, do we need to follow up on this? Like, is this like going to be an issue? And Dahlia has taken this in a completely different way and is using it to justify the way that she's been behaving. And like, here we are having an intervention because she said, fingers pointing, blah, blah, blah. And it's just turned into like a whole thing that it didn't need to turn into. Now, I am no Dahlia Black fan. I never have been. I've never professed to be. And I am not trying to excuse her actions and the way she's behaved in any kind of way. I do not think the way that she has behaved has been acceptable. However, I am trying to understand why she's been doing the things that she's been doing, because clearly there is miscommunication going on here from production and Dahlia as well, because clearly they're thinking that two completely different things have happened, and she's not seeing what she's been doing in the same way as everybody else. Competition absolutely brings out the worst in everybody, and we see this on all competition shows, not just Dragula. It's a universal thing, and I'm not trying to, like, you know, how do I put this without being like, I'm not trying to come off as mean, but, like, I think some of you may think that I'm giving her too much grace here, and I'm just like, maybe it's just my sensitive Scorpio side, or the fact that I feel like I've been beaten down this entire episode, and, you know, so much happened, like, clearly something more is going on here, and I do not think that this is going to be the end of all this drama. I think there's still another episode to go with it, but, you know, like, clearly there's crossed wires going on here, and people are misunderstanding things, and it's turned into, like, a vicious spiral, and I have no idea how this is going to end.
I'm cooking!
It is then time for dinner, and everyone sits down to eat, and nobody wants to eat any of these plates. And in the middle of it, you see Dahlia make an apology in the confessional to the Boulets. And I think that this is genuine. Like, you know what? I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt in this and say, like, I think that she's finally realised in this moment just, like, how badly things have, like, fucked up. But I also feel like in this moment that, like, fire in Dahlia is gone. And I don't know how she's going to be in the competition going forward. We then see Abora eating not just things on her plate, but the props as well, which leads her to be rushed off to the emergency room after the challenge is ended. So this is the second near fatality of the episode. Like, we had drama, near fatality, slither of competition in the middle, more drama, like second fatality. And then out of nowhere, because I had completely forgotten about this at this point, the hellbound showdown happens between Jade and Loris. And at this point I was like, please make the episode end, please. I don't think I can take any more being beaten down at this point. Jade beats Loris. Jade looked like a vampire. Loris looked like a goblin. And with that, let's get on to my final thoughts for the episode. By the end of this episode, I felt mentally drained. Like, I was waving my tiny little white flag of surrender, being like, please, no more drama. I need a break now until next week. And I think everybody who loves the drama would even say the same about this episode. Like, there was just so much drama. It completely overshadowed this episode's, like, competition segment. Like, I don't think the Nosferatu Beach Party was done any kind of justice, and it was a mess. It was a big mess. Like, I don't understand how Blackberry won the challenge, because we didn't see that much of everybody in the challenge. I'm happy Blackberry won, and I'm not going to take that away from her. My brain by the end of it, I felt like, and this is my wrestling ghoulies out there, I felt like I'd been sent in at the number one position in a Royal Rumble, and for an hour, I'd just been kicked in the middle of the mat. Over and over and over again. And, like, so much drama. I have no idea who I think will be exterminated, because you have Zava, who has been in the bottom 3 times, Dahlia in the bottom twice, Abora in the bottom twice, and Jaharia in the bottom once. I don't think that it's going to be Jaharia, because I think they'll bring her back, because she's been pretty much riding high or winning up to this point. But the other 3, I think Abora has kind of proved that she wants to stay at this point, like eating the prop meat and being sent to the ER, kind of, you know. I think Zava as well, even though she's been in the bottom 3 times, the fact that she's a vegan that then decided to eat meat and do this challenge says that she wants to be there. But I feel like the Dahlia drama isn't fully wrapped up yet, even though the fire's gone from Dahlia. So I don't know. I really don't know who I think is going to go home in this one. It depends on whether, like, drama is going to beat out, like, somebody's, like, need or want to stay in a competition or not. And we know that the Boulets will keep people around if they think it's going to make good TV. I'd just like a slightly quieter week next week without so much drama. Please, please. I don't mind the drama, but there was just... It was so much this week. It was so much.
He's already dead.
So that was my thoughts on this episode of the Boulet Brothers Dragula Titans 2. I want to know so bad what everyone's thoughts on this episode were down in the coffin section. 6 feet below the video. Like, pull yourself up a lovely cozy casket and have a chat with everyone down there. Like, I can't be the only one who felt like I'd been run over by the by the drama train by the end of it and just left for dead, because it was a lot. I don't think we've ever had an episode of Dragula that has been this full on with its drama to the point where it has overshadowed everything in the episode, including somebody winning and like the whole challenge in general. So, clean slate, moving on next week, you know. What else can I say besides I need a break now till Tuesday? Because if every episode is going to be this dramatic, by the end of it, I'm going to need therapy. So thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. Thanks to my Dragula ghoulies who tune in every week to come and chat and watch these videos. It means a lot. This little community is such an amazing little space that we've built, and everyone's so positive and lovely. And like I said, tell me what you think of the episode. And I will see you all either tomorrow if you watch my other horror content and we're watching The Lost Boys from 1987, or I will see you on Saturday for episode 5 of the Boulet Brothers Dragula Titans. I'm gonna have to go and watch other things and make myself happy until then. So until next time, bye. A special thank you though to my regenerators here within the Horde for their support over on Patreon.